Hey everybody, this is Renae from The Space Between, and you are listening to The Space Between podcast, the show that lets you listen to how the fans feel about the music, the art behind over 30 years of the Dave Matthews Band. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Renae, and this is another episode of the Space Between podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So this band this year, 2024, is celebrating 33 years of making music. It was just yesterday that it was exactly 33 since the time they had their first performance. And so we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But each episode, I bring to you a guest who, of course, is a fan of the Dave Matthews Band, and we bring them on so they could just tell us their journey with how they met the band and how it's inspired their lives. So today I have Steph on the show. Steph, thanks so much for being on The Space Between. Tell us who you are, where in the world do you live, and then what are your very first memories of finding out about this band that we love so much, the Dave Matthews Band?
Hey, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on, too. This is a treat. I'm so
Yes.
to finally meet you. Seen you at many shows.
I'm so excited to hear your story. I know you guys, if you're listening to this, every story is amazing, but I'm so excited about hearing this one because this is proof that this community is making a difference. Not only just do we go to concerts, but we keep putting out that mission of spreading love. And so Steph is going to tell us how she's done that. But yeah, how did you meet this band?
Okay, so my name is Stephanie Wohlfiel, and I live in beautiful Oceanside, California. And here with my husband, John. He didn't want to come on camera or be a part of this, but he's here. And together we have a great little life over here on the beach and love the Dave Matthews Band. Together we go to a ton of shows. But I first found Dave actually in 1995 at a Grateful Dead concert.
No way. Yeah.
So I think I went to 11 Jerry shows. I say Jerry shows because this was, the real Grateful Dead, I like to say. And it was really dusty out there. It was my birthday weekend, 1995, May 18th. And I went in early because I never go in early because I love the parking lot scene at the Dead shows.
Oh, yeah.
And here I go. I'm like, okay, walked in. I'm like, who in the heck is this guy? So it just started. I think he only played like 8 songs. And by the end of the 8 songs, I was hooked. I was like, wow, who is that guy? What's that guy's name? That sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then next day, same thing. So it was great. It was wonderful. And I will always be thankful for that windstorm because I've never gone in early.
Right.
Got to know him. I mean, I'm sure I would have heard of him later on.
Sure.
Not that early.
But this was good. Yeah, this was early on. So for those of you that are listening that might not know the history of the band, so they were, their first performance like 1991. So 1995, we're still basically a new band, right? We're still up and coming. So, but what a place to find them. Yes. I mean, what a place to find them opening for the Dead. I mean, 2 amazing concerts and 2 bands that, at that time, maybe the Dave Matthews Band, didn't have the following that it does now, but the Dead sure did. They definitely did. Yeah.
It's a lot of the same people I'm seeing,
Yeah. So what was it about the music? Like what caught your ear and what made you kind of listen harder?
The jam, and just this is going to sound weird, the bigness of the music.
No, I get it.
Like
yeah.
How the Dead, like just their bass, everything is so big. And I felt like they've kind of melted the two together. And even though the Dave was a lot younger and
yes,
just more, I guess in tune, just everybody was going crazy over him. Like the spinners were just spinning even harder, and it was a good vibe that weekend.
Good. So, okay, that's where you met them. So when you leave there, like, what are your next steps to continue to follow them? Like, do you go buy music? Because in the 90s, we're still buying CDs. So, like, what does that look like? Do you go out and do you buy their music? Like, what were the next steps to your journey?
I think I made a cassette tape.
Ooh, yeah. Yes.
But no, I probably made a CD. I'm just kidding. I I didn't listen to them as much as I do now
Right.
until I met John. So I would just listen to them, and every now and again, after I made my little CD or cassette tape, they were just kind of
Yeah.
in the background of my life. And then
Yeah.
fast forward to when I met John, and he just loves to go to concerts, and so we started talking, and we're like, oh, let's go to country concerts. Oh, do you like Dave Matthews? Yeah, I like Dave Matthews. And then I told him about the whole thing about accidentally not running into him physically, but running into the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, we should go to Chula. And so that was like one of our first dates.
Oh, wow. Wow. So is that Chula Vista? I'm not
Hmm.
super familiar with California, but yeah, they're still hitting Chula Vista.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
one
So
of
your
the best.
first concert together. So, like, did you guys like the same songs? Were y'all kind of into the music for the same reasons? Because there are a couple of reasons you can like the Dave Matthews Band, but obviously I know the future. You guys got married. It was like the perfect partnership of love. But like, how did he find the Dave Matthews Band? Have you ever asked him?
Again, just huge concert goer.
Yeah.
In the '90s, he would, buy tickets and sell tickets and buy tickets and sell tickets, and
Yeah.
um, I just, again, we're like two little bees out there that like came together and both love live
Yeah.
music, and then when we got together, it
Yes.
was like, "Whoosh." So
Absolutely. Yeah. So what
yeah.
year was Chula Vista?
Oh, that probably would have been maybe 2012. I don't know. Fact check me on that one. I need to get my DMV hat
Ooh,
out.
no, no, no. I know. We can't know
I want,
everything.
yeah, I want to say it was 2012 was our, because we got together. It was our first year, I believe. I don't know. Fact check me. He will. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll come back in 5 minutes with like, no, 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 that's wrong. That's okay though. So what is the Dave Matthews Band look like in your household now? Like we're fast forwarding many years. Obviously, the band is still on the road, still putting out music, still changing lives. Like, how does the Dave Matthews Band look like in your household? Is it still very present? Like, are you still looking to see them? What does it look like?
Well, right now we just got back from Vegas, so we were really
Ah,
lucky enough to,
yes.
yeah, to go to Vegas and hook up with all of our friends. And then, I mean, there's little pieces of Dave all around this house. We have a whole collection of pictures on the wall. We've got posters in our bedroom. We've got the fire dancer and pretty much all over the house and little
Yes.
spots. We have lots of dinner parties. We actually do a space between dinner party between
No
Thanksgiving and
way.
Christmas.
No
Yeah,
way. I
just
love that.
between. Yeah.
I love
So
that. So, do you have a lot of local friends that also dig the music? That's
yeah, quite a
amazing.
few local friends.
That's
Quite a
amazing.
few.
That's
Yeah.
really nice to have people that are close that, because, a lot of people, especially I would say Midwest people, there's just not a lot of cities around us that have, that Dave comes to. Not that that kind of dictates where the fans are, but it does kind of look that way for the most part. But, I live in an area where there are not a lot of fans around me. So for people that do have close friends in their city that they can come over and have dinner and talk about Dave, like, I'm always so envious of that story. Like, oh, that would be so much fun.
Yes, yes, we do. We get together quite a bit. We're like the SoCal crew, pretty much, people
Oh,
from,
yeah.
yeah, like Los Angeles, Orange County, and then San Diego. I mean, I could start a small list for you, but
Yes. Yes.
we we have little parties on the beach here in
Oh, wow.
Oceanside. Yeah, we've got
Wow.
that cottage, and so we do have Dave Matthew dance parties.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, if I'm ever in California, I'm gonna text you. I've got your number now. I'm gonna be like, hey, we need to have a Dave dance
If you ever
party.
are in California, we'll have a Dave Matthews
Okay,
party.
damn, I'm on my way.
Yeah,
So
lots
let's
of
talk
Dave fans
about
in there.
oh yeah. Oh my God. And there's a lot of fans in California. I know that, California is one of those states that I feel like The band doesn't come to California as much as it does East Coast. Of course it doesn't. California is a very large state, and I think that most states, get one or two runs, but often California will get three cities, if not more. And I would say that they come to California every year, right? You guys get the band every
Well,
year.
this year they're not, and we're super
Oh,
upset about that. Yeah,
they're
we
not hitting one city?
none, not one. Yeah, no California love
No.
whatsoever.
Well, who knows the reasons, right? Who knows the reasons? Because I never know, as a fan, who is making their schedule. Is that a red light entertainment thing, or whatever it is, red light, whatever? Are they doing it? Is the band doing it? Is it a shared thing? I've always been interested in knowing more of behind the scenes of how they pick their places based on year to year. Is it just different contracts with different Live Nation play? I don't know, but I think that would be super interesting to dig into. We need to sit down with anybody. If you're listening and call me. I want to know. So let's talk about Dave. Yeah, let's talk about your Dave in your household. And I know that you have started some things as a fan. So I kind of want to rewind time and see, how did you come up with the ideas that you did? And then how did you turn that into what it is now?
You're talking about the stuff that I do down in Mexico?
I do. I want to talk about Mexico. Since we just went through Mexico, I think that's on the tip of everyone's tongues. But if not, if you're listening to this, Dave and Tim do go to Mexico. Well, they have been doing it once a year for a couple of years. Who knows if that will continue? We don't know the future. But yeah, Dave and Tim is usually in February, Cancun, Mexico. Obviously that's something that you and your husband like to go to.
Yeah, we did miss it this year because I'm hitting Europe with Suzanne, so I
Oh,
had to
wow.
stay
Oh,
behind.
yeah.
But in years past, the last 5 years, or 6 years, um, was going down. So the first year, gosh, what happened? I ended up hooking up with a guy just on the Facebook site, and I brought a few. What I'm talking about is the KKIS, Keep Kids in School. It's a charity down in the Cozumel or Cancun, Cozumel area, that kind of whole region of Mexico, and we have been giving to them for the last 6 years. For me, I didn't go this year, so I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
I'll start at the beginning. So I was texting with the guy saying, oh yeah, we should do something for the school down there, and we ended up bringing just a few things. I want to say it was probably 10 or 12 things. Was the first year was some Crayolas and some pencils and things like that, and then he took those down to a little tiny a school in Tulum the next day, after the concerts were all done, and he took a picture and he sent it to me, and I was like, oh, there's my Crayolas, yay. It was so,
Yeah.
touched my heart. And then the next year I was like, okay, are we going to do this again? And he was like, there's no way I can go. He had some family issues, some problems, and he couldn't make it. And he goes, but you should take it on. And I was like, oh God, how am I going to do this? So I did. And so I just set up a little box, and let me see. That year, I don't think I brought Flat Dave that year. I think the first year it was just on the website, just on the Facebook site. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, that Stephanie is collecting for KKIS, and bring your school supplies, and you'll get a bracelet, I think is what it was, or a chip clip, or whatever my giveaway was that year.
Right.
So I did that, and each year it would just grow by leaps and bounds. And I can send you the pictures in
Yes.
order if you
I'd
want.
love to see those. Yes, I would.
So it started with 11 items,
Uh-huh.
and it ended up probably the last year that I did it with Jen. She helped me set it up. We probably had over 100 items.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot, yeah, and it got to be a lot of work for me. That little box with
Oh, yeah.
pieces really, really got worked, and having John help me bring all that stuff in nightly. I'd go down to the pool each day and bring all that stuff back. And it was a labor of love, and it was
Yes.
an excuse and a reason to go down. I was like, I'm going
Yes.
down because of KKIS, So
Yes.
I worked that angle for a couple of years, and it worked.
Yeah, it
And
did.
and then one year, I think it was the year actually that I ended up going alone. John couldn't go; he had to work, and I want to say that that was the year that they kind of took it away from me, so to speak. So, oh, actually, that would have been the 2020 year, the T-shirt that I made. I
Ooh,
have
yes. Let's
made.
talk about your t-shirt. Oh my goodness. So guys, if
That
you're
was
listening to this and you're like, what, how do I see it? You gotta
yes,
get on the YouTube channel. It's The Space Between. I love that. So do you know who, it's kind of like a, oh, what was that 90s? Oh, it's
South
still
Park.
on though. South Park. Yes. I had a brain
Yeah, it
fart,
kind
but
of
I
looks like South
love
Park.
that. Oh, that's so good. Do
So I
you
got
know
that done.
who designed that?
Yes, yes, and I will have to get back to you on it because I don't know it off the top of my head, and I don't want to mess up
No,
his
of
name.
course. Absolutely.
And
No, yeah.
yeah,
We'll get that up and we'll
back.
we'll put it up a link on the YouTube channel, so be sure to look for that.
Hmm.
It's amazing. So, I guess my question would be like, how do you know how you guys found out that there was a need for school supplies, and like what does that look like now? Oftentimes we forget that other countries, don't have the same means that we do here in the United States. And so what is this all about? How did you guys find out about it? And what are some steps that if someone's listening to this now and they think, well, I may never see you, or may never be going to see Dave and Tim, but how can I help? What are some tips you could give somebody?
Yeah, so that first year, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to rent a car and drive down to Tulum and drop it off at that cute little school like he did. And so I started Googling and found KKIS, Keep Kids in School. And then come to find out that in that area, that region of Mexico, kids don't go past the eighth grade. Like they
Oh,
just
wow.
don't. They usually go to work with their parents or for their parents or, I mean, they need to start bringing money in.
Yeah.
So the education system down there is very, very flawed and it's very sad. So with the KKIS, and with actually this T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, we did a foundation. I think I called it DMB Family Mexico Vacation or something like that. I'll have
Uh-huh.
to find it online.
Yeah.
But we raised over $6,000 over the years, and with the biggest year being this T-shirt. If you bought a T-shirt, then all the proceeds would go to that. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so over $6,000, and so we sent a lot of kids to high school because that's what their high school is. They would stop at eighth grade, and then high school was additional money for them,
Gotcha.
and so that's where we would start. So after so many years, and then CID took over accepting the donations of the
Uh-huh.
actual school supplies, so I didn't have to lug, the Crayolas, the paper, the pencils. Oh my God, people would bring me an entire suitcase of school supplies. They would bring them down there. I remember some teachers from Seattle brought like an old suitcase. She's like, just take the suitcase. You could keep it. Like
Yeah.
people bring backpacks. I mean, it was just a lot. And I loved
Wow.
it. I loved every bit of
Yes.
it, but it became a lot for me.
Of
So that's
course.
when I said,
Yes.
okay, CID, you guys have the drop off in the lobby so I don't have to cart it around, and then I'll just do the high school scholarships.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
that's where we kind of ended, and then last year I didn't go at all. So that was that.
Wow.
So
So the
yeah,
generosity of these fans is extreme. That's something that keeps coming up, I think, with every guest is there's always an agenda outside of the music to continue to just, pass along love and make sure that we are being good humans and we're helping where we can. And that story is just, outlined in every personal story, right? And so it's no surprise to me that this is happening because I've heard so many stories of generosity, but I think that it's important to continue to tell the story because obviously someone may be listening to this episode that has no clue, right? That hasn't heard the other episodes or hasn't heard about the generosity of a fan base. And I think that's such an important story. We do hear now, I think, about the fan bases behind the Grateful Dead, right? Because there's so many years of that. Fish, having a huge following. And I don't know in general if people are really aware of the fan base behind the Dave Matthews Bands. What is your thought on that? Like, do you know people that, of course, maybe not are fans, but are surprised by the following of this band?
Yeah. Some of my close friends, like, they just can't get over, like, so didn't you just go see Dave, like, at the Gorge for 3 days? And wait, and so now it's only 2 months later and you're going again? Or whatever,
Right. Right.
And my kids, too, they're like, don't you ever get sick of them?
Right.
No.
Yeah. No, I think but it's such an unheard of concept, I think, for most, because with a lot of artists, you go to a show, you may get the same thing night after night. Well, it's just not that way with the Dave Matthews Band. But then also, because they've been around for so many years, there's just a lot of content, right? Like, they have a huge catalog of songs and performances. And so, if someone enjoys digging into the music and the history behind a band, there's so much information to dive into. And I think that that's something that's really cool about this band is, just learning the history of it. But then again, obviously the fan base around it, it's unheard of. I meet people all of the time that are number one, confused with the fact that the Dave Matthews Band is even still making music, right? Like, they're like, you mean the band from like the 90s, the early 2000s? I'm like, yes, the exact same band, with a few exceptions, of course, but like, yes, they never stopped. And they're like, what? There's just, it's like they're so surprised and so unaware of it, right? And so there are a lot of people that are unaware of the band in general, but mostly just unaware of the fan base behind it. And so, that's again another reason why I started this podcast, because I thought, how cool just to shed light on all of the good that's happening because of music, right? I'm a big believer that music is a powerful tool used by so many, but I think that a lot of people don't realize the full potential, the full power behind music and what it's doing for people, just, outside of just being happy, but like so many different emotions and then again, just building communities around music and building friendships, and that turns into groups of people who are doing amazing things just like you and countless others, just to be good humans and to spread the word of love. So, I can't thank you enough and your family enough for doing that, for keeping the story alive. And I know that that's something that you guys are going to continue to do. I don't think that just, based on your little bit of the story that I've got to hear, I don't think you're about to fall off the bandwagon. And I mean that in the most literal form, the bandwagon, right?
Yeah,
the bandwagon, right? That's the first time I think I've ever used that word, and it was just like so appropriate, right? Like, yay, finally! It took 44 years to find a place for that word. So let's talk about Europe, because that's the next big thing, right? Like, and this episode is going to air in April, so that is everything everyone's going to be talking about. So give us the lowdown. Have you ever seen the band in Europe before?
No. I have not. I've been to Europe. I've never been to Italy, which is one of the reasons, why. Yes, I'm starting in Italy, jumping in with some girls on an Airbnb. Suzanne did it in 2019, so she's kind of the ringleader.
Oh, Suzanne, the Suzanne Swirl?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yay! I love her. She's great.
So I'm going to meet up with them in Milan and do Florence, and then Suzanne and I are doing a side trip to Venice and then flying to London.
Oh my gosh.
And then doing London, both shows, and then doing Dublin. And then I'm flying out, and then she's going to Paris.
Oh my God.
I know. Talk about a whirlwind.
Oh my God. Are you just like on the edge of your seat excited though?
Yeah. So I have to put all this together. So I have all these confirmation emails, and I have to like put them into
You need a spreadsheet for your Dave Matthews Band trips, right?
I do. Yeah.
But I mean, what a great marriage of a trip. Like, not only do you get to see these amazing countries that you've never seen with like historical things, but also there are people that that are going to be there. You're going to run into Dave Matthews Band fans. It's going to be cool. And then the band is there, right? Like, it's the perfect time to go to Europe if you're going to go, if you're gonna go, it's the perfect time to go. Yeah, you know, I joke. I was when I heard of, and I'll be honest, like I'm that fan that just like says I'm going everywhere, but then can go to two places for real. But like I want to go to everything. As soon as the Europe tour came out, or when the tickets went on sale through the warehouse, or we got the whatever we got through Ticketmaster that allowed us to get in a little bit earlier, I bought tickets for Dublin right away. And two, you know, and I had them and I was like, okay, well, I've got my tickets. Now all I have to do is plan. And I was like, you know, Renae, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like you can't just take off and go to Europe. I have kids who are in school and a job that's not going to let me off. Like, what am I doing? But like, there's always that secret hope, like, well, I have tickets. So I cannot wait to watch everyone's journey that's headed. I know that we are going to, because of people like Suzanne, that is always so great to, record, stream to Couch Tour, which I never want to say that she always does, because I never want to put that pressure on her that is her job, because it is not. And I want her to enjoy the concert. But if she enjoys doing it, I'm so thankful that she does do the Couch Tour. I was just talking a few days ago with someone that because of the time difference, you know, us that are back in the States are almost going to be watching it at an awkward time. But is there an awkward time for Dave? I don't know.
I don't think there is.
I don't know. I don't know. We're going to be just watching it like at work.
Really early for South Africa. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll all be watching the Dave concert at work while we drink our coffee. And, you know, we'll see how much we can get away with at work, right? We'll be watching Dave all day. So what, you sacrificed, of course, Mexico, but Mexico is a beautiful, yeah, I've only been once. I don't know if I'll ever go again. Like, I never know what I'm going to do, but I definitely recommend. I think that's a great way to dig into some members of the band, just to, I think it's good to remove people from the whole band. That way you can really just kind of go, oh my God, yeah, I forgot that he's that fucking good, right? Like, cause Dave playing the guitar can sometimes be very hard to like hear between his voice and everyone else that's, jamming out on stage. So Dave and Tim gave me such a good opportunity to really kind of hear Dave again in his musical abilities outside of vocal, and then of course this is my phone. Yeah, I knew that Tim, it happens, it's real, it's real. Tim, Tim is just, he's a fucking beast. Like, he knows that guitar, like he knows his hands, and it's just an extension of his body. He's so good. But yeah, Mexico's amazing. Europe will be amazing. I can't wait. I hope that you'll come back and tell me all of the pros, whatever the cons are, because there are going to be cons in travel, right? Like, there's no perfect trip. There's always air delays, and there's always issue with flights, but then hotels, and I think it's important to collect this information just for the hopes that the next time they go to Europe, we're going to have some more information to build off of to help people with, like, okay, if you want to go to Europe, here was my experience. It may not be yours, but here's some things to help you plan your trip. And so definitely come back and share all the fun with us. And so summer, of course, is right after Europe. Are there any plans for you? Or are you going to ride the Couch Tour for the summer?
Yeah, I have to stick around. I have to work for a little bit.
Yeah,
So.
that damn work just keeps getting in the way, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm going to work for a little bit, but then we are hitting Gorge for sure.
Oh, good. Well, you are definitely closer. That is a closer venue for you guys than most people, right? Unless you live in Washington or Oregon or, but so yeah, and that's such a great one because you get 3 nights, right? So it's worth the bang for you to travel to. And so, yeah, that's another big shout out to the Couch Tour, how thankful we all are to have the ability to, if work is holding us back, like it all does, it does for everybody, because we got to make money, right? Like at the end of the day, we've got all the things we have to pay for. And so it's nice to go, but I really wanted to go to that show and I can't be there, but I can watch it live in my jammies, in bed, or wherever you may be. So thankful for the Couch Tour.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah, all the people that stream to that. And if you're listening to this and you're like, what in the hell is the Couch Tour? Well, it is a group on Facebook that you can join. I think there's a few membership questions, but if you're wanting to be a member because you like the Dave Matthews Band, you're going to know the answers to these questions. And so you'll just put your answers in and someone will approve you. And then that group is going to give you the ability to watch, I would dare to say, 99.9% of every show that the Dave Matthews Band does, whether that's a festival, or whether they're playing in Europe or in California, wherever it may be. There's someone there that's part of the Couch Tour that's streaming, kind of just donating their arm muscles for the greater good, I guess. And so we're so thankful for that group and all that they allow us. We can go to all the shows now, every single one of them. Yeah.
Trying to stream. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, we'll be railing it if I'm with Suzanne.
Oh God, yes. I mean, that woman, she's like, she can get her way up there. She knows. But I mean, she's been to like 300 and something shows. This is, I think if you do anything 300 and any times, you're going to know the ropes. You're going to know how it works. You're going to know the lingo. You're going to know all the things, right? And it really does help. And so she is a professional Dave Matthews Band concert goer. I will give her that. She's not getting paid for it, but so I guess if that's what makes you professional, then none of us are, but we want to be. We want to be. If only there were money in traveling for the Dave Matthews Band, right? Sign me up. Sign me up. Well, Steph, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. And like I said, we definitely want to have you back on so we can talk about Europe. And by then, maybe some of the summer tour, because it's quickly approaching May. It is going to be here before we know it. Time is just ticking by so fast. We're already almost through with March. That's crazy for me to believe. So, time is going and we still have the Dave Matthews Band. So we have a lot to talk about. So guys, if you are listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can watch this on YouTube, just simply under the Space Between podcast. And how can you be on this show? How did Steph get on this show? Well, it's actually really easy. All you do is you can message me through social media. You can email me at kissonthelips.smire@gmail.com, which was my wedding hashtag. So I'm going to continue to use it. Kiss on the Lips Smire. It's so smart. I love it. The $20 I paid for that hashtag, it just works. So kissonthelips.smire@gmail.com. You can email me and say, hey, I'd like to share my journey. But then also be sure to follow us on Facebook. It's under a group, The Space Between Podcast. Instagram, it's simply The Space Between _POD. And then TikTok. You don't want to miss that. That's where I just have way too much fun making Dave memes and Dave videos, and it's so much fun. So TikTok, it's just The Space Between Podcast. And so you can just reach out to me anyway and say, hey, I'd love to share my message, my journey, even if it's a negative one. There's not an experience that I don't want to talk about. I'd love a conversation with someone, not to debate, but I like different opinions. I think that that's what makes the world go round. And I always say, I don't want friends that think exactly like me. I want friends that think very differently than me, because that's kind of cool. That's like, everybody's different. So definitely reach out to me. And Steph, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. And in the meantime, be sure to check back to see who's coming up on the next episode. In the meantime, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.